Well, hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Lisa, also known as EnergieGal, a wellness coach promoting empowered living and your guide here on the EnergieGal podcast, where we experience transformational conversations. In this safe, gentle space, storyteller and listener gather to share, to be vulnerable and authentic. We laugh, cry, feel, heal, and we transform. Yes, we all have a story, and we are all worthy of healing through it to peace, bliss, love, which is ultimately our true identity. Well, we are so jazzed to have you along for the journey today, dear listeners, and equally excited to introduce you to our guest in the house. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Martha is an intuitive transformation coach, soul seer, and an energy alchemist, devoted to helping you transform your life from the inside out so that you can step into your wholeness and live your greatest expression and life. She says that she is passionate about illuminating the potential in you. May I introduce you to Martha Blessing.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining me. And we've only met the one other time, but when you came in and you sat on my couch for those couple of hours and we just chit-chatted and we realized what a common vibration we have. And let me tell you, folks, you're in for a treat because this woman is power. She is just raw power. And I love it. So I'm so excited to share her with you. And she came in during one of our bliss sessions from where you live in the New York area, correct?
Yeah.
And she came in just because she was led to do so, found some common vibration, and she and I had a good long chit chat, and she really encouraged me to stay the course. So I'm a little bit of a newbie still, so I'm really, really encouraged to be in her space and gleaning from her. So thank you, Martha, so much for joining me.
Thank you. I'm excited. For the conversation. We had such a fun time, and it was so spontaneous and synchronistic, and so I know this will be too.
Yeah, I mean, we started talking even before I pressed play here, and I said, girl, we got to slow down. I just got to press play because we were already talking about one particular word that just sent you going, and it's the word truth. So why don't you unpack for me a little bit more, because you had a lot to say just about that one word.
Yeah, truth. We're not trained to believe the truth, hear the truth. Like, we are programmed to believe in illness. We are programmed to believe in things being difficult. We are never taught. Part of my work is helping to teach people universal spiritual laws. And one of the questions that I always come to with clients, or any situation, like this is how we started talking. You and I were talking about a client, and it's like, what's the truth about this? The truth is, our bodies do know how to be healthy. We think there is nothing but chaos in the world because we're looking to the external. And, or as you know, we play our story, right? Like, our story is about hardship. It's always, and 9 times out of 10, we have taken on the hardship story that our parents fed us. That's our MO.
Just like they took on the hardship stories that their parents, and on the cycle goes. But once you wake up to knowing that that's what you're doing, at that point, you can choose differently. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. And until you start to learn to think a different way or to ask different questions. So my background, obviously being a nurse, I had 10 years of daily chronic pain. Divine intervention, how things started. I started to ask different questions. I was in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk, all these things. grace of God, and I'm not a religious person. That's my word, right? Like if, substitute whatever source, intelligence, substance, whatever word works for your belief system. I just asked different questions and I was like, is this really true? Like, do I really believe this, that I'm never going to walk again? Like, does the body, I don't know how it came through. It just did. And I would ask different questions. And the first question I asked was, where have we come to believe that our bodies are meant to break down and turn against us? Like that was a different question instead of, well, how am I going to live like this for the rest of my life?
Right.
The programming, right? Call your doctor, see if this is right. And I've segued quite a bit in my work because as this spiritual person having a human experience, the energetic and the spiritual comes first.
Yes. And
really the healing is in, because the second question that I asked was, why do we have, and I had 15, 20 years as a holistic practitioner, energy practitioner, had a wellness center, had a spiritual book and gift store, practiced Ayurveda. Like I've done all of the alternative holistic things in my life that are out there. And it dawned on me, why, when we have acupuncture, quantum touch, healing touch, Reiki, all of these things, why are we still so sick? Why is everyone like, forget if we just got rid of, Western medicine, right? These 4 levels of consciousness and healing. And we're getting to, why are people doing all these alternative? Why is there every kind of diet under the sun and people still are sick and have heart disease and chronic pain and all of these? It just doesn't make sense. And the answers and the truth was, we're creating this illness for ourselves. And that's a truth that nobody wants. Right?
So I'm assuming we're doing this unconsciously. We're doing it and not realizing that we are the problem. We're creating that ourselves. I think it was Bob Proctor who said, you are your only problem, but you're also your solution too.
Which is when you asked me, what should we talk about on the podcast? And I said, how about we talk about illness isn't the problem, it's the solution.
Okay, keep unpacking.
Right? Illness is not the problem, it's the solution. Because that is our inherent wisdom speaking to us. Telling us this. So the subconscious mind has been planting lies, false beliefs, ancestral beliefs. It has to be hard. The culture and society, I'm going to say patriarch. I'm not bashing men, but the patriarch of medicine, of the AMA, of the pharmaceuticals, of things like that. It's all programming. It's all, so our parents did it. I mean, it's a different world now. They weren't as awake. They weren't as conscious. They weren't as aware. And we didn't have the internet. Like when I first started and came through, my healing journey was pre-internet. So all of this stuff was in the recesses, right? Since the internet, we know about Bob Proctor, we know about universal laws, we know about the subconscious mind, Joe Dispenza, right? Neuroplasticity,
he's awesome.
Programming, right? So we never knew these things. And the truth is, this has always been here, but we didn't know it.
So this isn't something brand new.
It's not new. It's not new. And the experience that I've had with spirituality, there's a lot of wiki-woo, there's a lot of bypassing.
Yeah.
Like the whole psychic medium piece of it is giving your power away. And I'm sorry for any psychics or mediums that are listening. I've been that since I was 6 years old that I can recall. But that too is giving your power away to something. and we can change it in a nanosecond. We've just had something programmed into our brain, into our mind, and we believe it. Like we were talking about stories, right?
Yep.
We can, like, a thought is just a thought. And from birth, really in utero, in the womb.
Sure.
Okay. How our parents are being. And if they were stressed, if they were in fear, which
big deal. Right.
That's what you were fed, literally.
Right.
That is the energetic, emotional pattern that you were given. Then you're born, and from 0 to 8 years old, the conscious mind is not developed.
Okay.
We cannot reject what we're taught and told.
Oh, so we absorb it, hook, line, and sinker, the whole thing.
Yeah. That's why we appear to pattern whatever it is that our parents have taught us or not taught us. Right. That's where we get our money patterns, our political patterns, that's why so many generations that are on like public assistance will stay on public assistance. Alcoholics stay with alcoholics. The perfect example, a client that I've been working with, she's a young mom. She's married. I think her kids are 4 and 6.
Okay.
And her mom died when she was 15, 16 years old of breast cancer. And she is literally following a pattern that is going to create breast cancer in her if she doesn't change it. Because this is different than what people think. People don't realize that this is how breast cancer comes about. Yeah. And it's not, when people say things are, because medicine will tell you it's genetic. Right. No, it's energetic. Yep. It's energetic, not genetic, because yes, you have that DNA that comes together, egg and sperm, but mom's DNA is literally feeding you. And so it's ancestral, right? My mother repeated the fears and the things that her mother taught her. She tried to teach them to me, and the whole unpacking so that I didn't continue to create illness was to excavate those stories, right, those beliefs, and then create a new identity and a new story. You say that craving you carry for freedom, it can be satisfied, but only if you go within, desiring to find your greatness. That's a lot right there. That craving you carry for freedom. Are we even aware that that's what we're craving? Sometimes I think we think we're craving to be thinner or to have more money or whatever it is. Ultimately, what you're saying is it's freedom that we are craving. Yeah, because most people, healing, I mean, you're working in the healing arts, in the healing world. Does anyone ever come to you and say, I want to find out what my greatness is? No, they want to annihilate a symptom. Right. But the symptom is there because you can't accept and love your own greatness. Like you can't find your greatness. Yes. Because you're not looking for it. You're looking to annihilate a part of you that's actually the message to show you how to get to your greatness. Exactly. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I used to teach little kindergartners, and there was no problem. They were anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5 years old, no more than 6 years old. There was no issue when I would say to them, to any of the children, do you know how awesome you are? They're like, we're the best, yay! So once I got up to 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, not so much. They could tell you where they'd messed up. They'd already started to feel the guilt and shame of things. So it's just very interesting. That dynamic. That's all it takes is like one teacher, one experience, that we create a story and a tape and a program, and our subconscious mind so how the pattern develops is when we're little, we need other people for our safety and security. We need our parents. We need that structure for them, like when we're babies, right? To be fed, to be watered, changed, kept warm and dry, all those things.
Sure.
And we learn and we set up a pattern how to get those things. And we'll do anything. And then as we get older, depending on who and what our parents are being, to us, we will start to develop a pattern to get that need met. And our subconscious mind creates that program and says, oh, this is how, like for me, right? I had to look at, I'm using illness to get love and attention. It's not conscious. I'm not like doing it on purpose. Nobody would want to be sick, but how many people want to go on disability because they hate their job? It's a subliminal, it's a subconscious, like, I don't want to be in this environment anymore. So I'm going to create, the subconscious will create something to keep that story as the truth.
So in other words, someone who's thinking life is just hard and everything is a struggle will subconsciously create situations around them that confirms for them that life is hard and nothing but a struggle.
Absolutely.
As long as that's the narrative.
Absolutely. I have a client, and you know, he's successful in business many times over, but he will also create the lack of success. And as we got to talking, like in his personal lives and relationships, he'll admit to, I can't receive love, or I can't receive. I'm not able to receive. Now, so go out and create success, be successful in the business world, feel guilty and shameful about, you know, like I'm a failure in other areas. And what happens is your subconscious, no matter how successful, when you become successful, your subconscious will create something to take that away from you, because you've got a pattern in the subconscious of, I'm not able to receive for whatever reason, like the core wound, that's part of that core wound in the agreement. So the lawsuits keep coming in, things keep coming to take things away from him so that he can't receive.
So what do you do about something like that particular situation? What do you do?
You come back to, first it's getting to the excavating that core wound. Like, what is the core wound and where did it come from? And then you repattern, you reprogram back to, what is the truth about this? Because that comes from mom or dad somewhere. That is a belief system. So it's really bringing it up and out and saying, what's the truth about this? The truth is, I took this on as a belief because whatever. And the healing happens in each moment. People think there's some great big, give me the big global answer. But how? I get that every day, all day long. But how? They want some big formula. What it is it's recognizing in each moment, you have a choice. In each moment, you are literally standing in front of a choice. Once you know and you hear the story, I call it subconscious trickery. Like, I got my eyes on you now. I know the story.
I see you now.
I see you. Right. And that's really the way out. I see you. In my own life, I had abandonment issues, right? And oh my God, the subconscious is so insidious that we don't even know. I mean, I've been doing this work for 30 years and I know it. And yet I can see it. It can trip me up.
Sure. I get it.
And I can see a pattern and I can see anger and frustration. And I'm like, son of a gun, there's that subconscious trying to trick me back into this pattern. So it's, you know, it's not the answer that most people want, right?
Well,
They want to just
no,
arrive and
no,
I'm
it is
done.
not the answer. They want to come
I
into
want to
the
arrive and I'm
office,
done.
meet with me 3 times and you're free. To say, listen, the work that needs to be done, it's your work to do. Just like you go into the cocoon, when it's time to come out, somebody can't help open up that cocoon and then blow on your wings, or you'll never fly. But it is that being aware and conscious. I mean, I've been doing this work for years now. And just this past Saturday, one of my good friends has made a new set of friends. And on a conscious level, like, I have no issues with that. I'm happy. But for whatever reason, I saw a post with all of them together. And all of a sudden, Martha, in me, I felt like I was being abandoned and rejected. Now, the thing is, as soon as this, and I could feel it into my body, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm being, so my go-to is, as soon as I think I might be rejected, I start rejecting you. Oh, you're not going to reject me. Guess what? I'm rejecting you. So she happened to reach out to me and say, hey, do you want to get together tomorrow? And I wrote, busy. And as soon as I did that, I thought, I'm not busy. I just realized that I went like this because I was scared. I heard this voice in my head saying, eventually she's going to leave you. And I thought, oh my goodness sake. So I went upstairs on the bed, and I was just really, I can't say I was crying, but I was very sad, and maybe a few tears came. And husband came upstairs. He said, what can I do for you? I said, you know what, hon, this is my work. And I appreciate that you're here to encourage me on, but I need to work through this myself. However, you could toss me a salad, because when I come downstairs, I'm going to want to eat something nutritional. And as I sat there, I did a couple of things. I recognized that it was me reacting out of feeling like this little kid who's so afraid that dad's going to leave again and mom's going to leave again, because my dad left and then my mom left. And I was raised by my grandma. And I realized that there was still that in there, that I'm leavable. And so once I realized that, I took a deep breath and I thought, I'm still afraid. But I wrote to my friend and I said, listen, I think that I'm just really scared about being left by you. And I know that that's not true, but I'm still feeling it. And so I apologize for just saying I'm busy. I'm actually not busy. Do you want to get together? And she wrote back to me saying, I love you. You're not leavable. Yes, I am going to make new friends, but that doesn't mean I don't love you. And I really just had to sit there with that and say, I'm not leavable. That's not my truth. It's not my truth. I believed that for a while, but I don't believe that anymore. Yeah. But I was surprised that here I am all these years later, still.
It always happens. There's always something. Quite honestly, that's what I've found and experienced. And again, it's that question. What you really were asking is, what's the truth about this?
Yeah.
The truth about this is I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling grief, or this is hitting a trigger reminding me of when I was left before, but that's not who I am now. And I'm making a different choice. I'm writing a different story. I have a different identity.
So just because I was left in the past, and that doesn't make me leavable, because that was my big thing. I am leavable.
Which is, the subconscious is taking that pattern. The subconscious is always trying to keep us safe, right? It's trying to protect us. Sure. Oh, no, Lisa, don't you go over there with her. She's, the subconscious is the one telling the lies to keep us safe in to that keep pattern. Us
safe and protected.
And everything in our society and culture is programming us to believe that the world is in chaos and we're not safe. 99.9% of what we think about is like, you're thinking about the past,
right?
Your mind, your subconscious is taking you to the past. It's going to a pattern. It looks for a recognizable pattern in you,
right,
to keep you stuck,
right,
to pull you back into the drama and the story and the crap,
right. All because it's thinking it's keeping you safe.
It's trying to. It's trying to. It doesn't want you to expand out of your comfort zone. That's why, like, when you think about your greatness, that is an expansion.
Right. Right.
And what you just described is a contraction.
Right.
On every level.
Right.
To who you don't want to be any longer.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's, you know, the healing is, yes, that you get to certain excavating these things out. But once you see, you know, the core wound and you know the pattern, then it is that constant space repetition, that reprogramming. Your subconscious, like a little homing pigeon, right? It's looking, oh, there's a pattern over here. We can hook her into that one. We can hook her into that lie. But the truth is, that happened how long ago? Like, you can't, it's done. It's already done. You can't do anything about what's already done. But we
can do something about the story.
In the present. We don't have to keep it with the present, and we don't have to take it forward.
Right.
Which is why, you know, people struggle with relationships and everything else, bosses and siblings, and, you know, it's just telling some ridiculous story.
Right. And how can I ask this? I think that waking up to remembering your greatness, seeking that greatness within that is there in every single person, is what's important for you to then be able to say, okay, is this true? Yes, I was left in the past. Yes, I grieved that. Yes, that was scary. But in this very moment, am I really being left? Or, I mean, because what if you get the person who really is being left? What do they do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And if they are being left, it's when you know your greatness, you're still okay.
You're still okay, Martha. Okay.
You're still okay.
That's why knowing your greatness it's
you're
paramount.
Still okay. It's like, you know, one of the greatest books ever is The Four Agreements.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of them is about not taking things personally. And that's where we really get into it, right? Like, you were taking that personally with this friend, right? Like, you know, the story was about you and your story, and it had nothing to do with you.
Had nothing to do with
nothing to do with you. No. And so it's difficult, it's challenging, right? Like, I've done that myself, and you know, someone doesn't respond quick enough or the way that I want or whatever, launch right into a story about it, right? I mean, and this is how we've seen this so much on social media, right? People getting indignant about it's just a story. It's about them, right? You're not seeing me, you're not feeling me. People are being triggered by these patterns and these stories that are coming from who knows where, right? And it's so, be impeccable with your word and don't take anything personally.
Right.
Don't talk against yourself. We aren't trained to see our greatness. Like, we
are not trained.
My mother dipped me in shame every single day of my life because of her fear and her story.
Right.
No one teaches us to go inside and know that we are this limitless person, and we came here to experience joy and celebration and life and increase.
Right. Abundance,
and
baby.
And goodness and greatness. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're not taught that. Where are we taught that? We are indoctrinated from the beginning to behave and perform and measure up. Like, we're doomed from the get-go. We're never going to measure up, right? In schools and stuff, test me. Do we learn anything valuable? No, not really. It's just test me.
Right.
See if I can memorize stuff.
Right.
And that's where our value and worth is determined. We start at 5, 6 years old.
Right. And what you're saying then, Martha, is extrapolating from this is that two things. As we become aware of these stories that we've created and see the truth in them, start speaking the truth around it, we will change our physical health then.
Yes. Yes. Ayurvedic medicine says all illness is created by the failure of intellect.
All
it's true, because we're using our mind against ourselves. It's just a thought. We don't have to believe it. We are conscious, and we are aware that we're conscious. We think and we're aware that we think. Like, we are not our thoughts. I can have a thought, I'm a loser.
Right.
It's just a thought. I don't have to believe it. I can change that thought into something else.
Right.
And that thought has the frequency. We know this. EEGs, electroencephalograms, electrocardiograms. Thought is energy. Right. We know this. The quantum field, quantum science, like, it's proven.
It's proven.
It's well documented. So I have that thought over and over again. My body says, yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. The universe is always saying yes.
Yeah, right. The cells listen. Every single cell in your body is listening to everything that you're thinking and believes it. Saying, Martha, that illness can be, what were you saying earlier? Illness could be like, it's almost like the gift of kind of leading us back to ourselves or something.
Yes. It's the direct part of what I do with people is I actually teach them how to go in and determine for themselves what needs to happen, what needs to change, along with because again, most people are trying to annihilate whatever it is.
Fix me, I'm broken.
They're trying to annihilate an actual part of themselves. Make this go away, turn this off, make me healthy. And what it really is doing is it's actually a blueprint and a roadmap to where you have disconnected from your true self and your greatness. So move towards it and ask it what it wants.
Lean in. What's the message?
Yeah, move towards it. That's what I teach people to do. I mean, there's different layers of it, right?
For sure.
But that's one piece of it. First is the uncovering of what's the core wound, what's the story, what is the motivation, why are we in a recurring pattern? And so if people just come and plop down on the table, I mean, I did that for years. I had that practice. Or what would happen is they would come. I've been a medical medium since I was very little.
Okay.
And I shut it off. And then when I got into nursing school, I couldn't shut it off. So I would get the mental, emotional, and spiritual causes of the physical illnesses.
Got it.
Great. I can show you that. I can tell you that. But if we don't do the reprogramming, if I don't teach you how to do the reprogramming, and you just come and plop on my table, I'm going to break up that energy temporarily, but you're going to go out and you're going to continue to have the thoughts,
which will continue to
follow the subconscious mind and the lie. And so the pattern is still there. And the hardest thing for people to accept that there is greatness. Like they're going, because they feel the uglies and they believe in the lies and they believe in the story. They're doing everything they can. Like, everything is just energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed. It can only change forward.
Right. The alchemy.
So that's the good news, people, right? Like, it's not a big deal. Like you and I were saying, healing is not a big deal. It's just changing the energy. It's just choosing to be present and changing the energy and going into your greatness. But if you're raised, right, like your story, what was your story that your parents left?
Yeah. Well,
right? You had to create a story to protect yourself, right?
Of course. I'm leavable. I'm not good enough. So I need to be better, which then created this people-pleasing pattern, which then attracted to me all sorts of people that I needed to please.
Which is exhausting.
Yeah, incredible. And it really did come down to me saying, I choose not to think that way anymore. I see that that's the way I'm thinking. I look around at the life I'm manifesting and I'm thinking, okay, what, if it wasn't necessarily illness for me, it was the life I was manifesting that was exhausting me and I didn't find joy. And I thought, well, why am I creating this then? What's going on? And I started being very mindful of what I was thinking and then saying, okay, so do I believe with what I'm thinking, or do I choose not to believe that? And then waking up to my greatness, which for me was coming out of you're a sinner, and realizing that I'm God's spark inside, and I am well loved and powerful and beloved. And that was huge. That was changed the whole thing for me. So, wow. Let me ask you, Martha, because you've been doing this for so long, do you feel like more and more people are waking up to this is the way we're going to proceed when it comes to healing? When it comes to...
Yes and no. Yes and no. We've gotten better, but the idea of reprogramming and neuroplasticity and accepting full responsibility, like we have so many ways of numbing ourselves out from accepting responsibility. And the sad part about not accepting responsibility is then everything is external and you remain a victim.
Right.
You just
Martha,
remain a victim.
Right.
It's based on ignorance. And I don't say that word as a judgment. It is truly people who are ignorant of the subconscious mind, the universal laws, how universal spiritual laws. Part of the reason why I sold my brick and mortar businesses and went into doing work globally was because I saw how this was affecting so many people in the spiritual world, in the spiritual community, or spiritualists and empaths specifically, energetically, and what that mindset is. And there's a lot of spiritual bypassing. There's a book called Spiritual Bypassing, and there's a lot of cloak it all in, like, one of the things that used to really, really annoy me in the local community. And so I had my store was called New World Gifts, Books and Gifts for Conscious Living. We had crystals. We had every range of spectrum of, spirituality and books and authors. And I had readers and psychics and the whole gamut. And I know I did that so that I could learn where people were giving their power away to this idea of spirituality.
Oh my God, Martha, keep sharing.
Yeah. And what people have bought into, there is room for all of it. So you can't I have a couple of videos and blog posts about the 4 levels of consciousness and healing.
Okay.
Right. And so in the beginning, it's like, I have heart disease. I go to the doctor, boom, he gives me something. That's it. I'm done. I better have good health insurance. I better have, this is going to cost me and I'm probably going to die of heart disease, and then you go through these levels of awakening and really what it is accepting the full responsibility. Right. And some people will only come halfway. Some people will go all the way.
Oh,
and
gosh.
But the people who are and were in this spiritual bypassing, they're still giving their power away. They're not fully conscious of how the universal laws work. And so they'd come into the store, and a lot of it was fear-based, which you can't get greatness out of fear. Like the frequencies don't line up. You're never going to get greatness out of fear. They would come in and they would be all about white light and, zip myself up. And, if you've never done Reiki or energy healing or like you can't go from 0 to 100. There are those steps in between. But what a lot of people do is they just continue to be the person that drops themselves off at the naturopath or, the diet or the Reiki or the whatever. And there's no real conscious awareness of what the next step needs to be. They think they failed when they're at that level. they haven't failed. They just haven't found the person to lead them to the next level, right? So
Fantastic.
we need all the levels, because and quite honestly, there's there's a lot of yogis that have been less than what's the word I'm looking for? Integrous.
Yeah.
Okay. There's all kinds of sexual abuse among the yogis and yoga communities and things like that. People would come in and they would, I'm going to zip myself up in white light or pink light or, all of this. And now I'm protected. Absolutely not. Like, that's just bullshit, quite honestly. It's just bullshit.
Wow.
Because what are you doing? You're like, just la, 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 fluff. And then you're not checking in with yourself the rest of the day. Like, you're not looking at your energy. You're not tapped into your feelings and what you're feeling or what you're doing or what the story is, and then they'll go, oh, it must not have worked. Someone's attacking me. There's demons out there. No, the only demons are, like, we're creating them.
Oh, truth. Woo!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I actually had somebody ask me that this weekend. Friend of mine was doing a Reiki training, and I'm not trained in Reiki, never was. So I don't know I know a little bit about it. And he said they taught me the 12 heavens or something like that. And I said, well, I think I understand what that is and what I think.
Right.
And he said, oh, like, he's just waking up to about empath and how he shuts himself off and shuts down to not feel and compartmentalize and things like that. And he said, well, wait a minute, if I'm doing healing on people or they're doing healing on people, and we release all of these emotions and stuff, did we take on all their demons? I'm like, that's just absolute nonsense. That comes from religion, quite honestly. That comes from again, being indoctrinated and programmed.
This is like interesting.
The law of perpetual transmutation of energy, one of the spiritual universal laws, is that source, intelligent substance, God, whatever you want to call it, like, we're in spirit and we say, hey, I want to go down and be this. And God says, yes, I would love for you to do that. I would love for you to experience that so that I can experience it through you, because we are just one.
Right.
Before the separation. So it's not a karmic slap. Like, God wants us to experience what is in us. It wants us to experience our greatness. Right. So that it can experience it as well. Like the joy and the celebration. But we're just so programmed to believe otherwise. So that energy is a constant transmutation that can go back. And that's the truth of who we are, right?
That's the truth of who we are, right?
There's no demons. We don't have this karmic slap where, oh, I have this dream and desire in me to be or do or have something. The fact that we have it means that the way and the means to achieve it is already here. It's already here, or we wouldn't have the desire. Right. It wouldn't be planted in us. It's not like we come with this desire and there's no way to have it.
Right.
It's only that story about that we've taken on. It's only the lie that we've taken on. So anyway, to answer your question, that was a long answer, but I think that we're making progress, but there's certainly still a long way to go, because there has been so much spiritual wiki-woo bypassing nonsense.
Wow. Girl, I could talk with you for a long time. So, this is juicy. This is juicy stuff. I know quite a bit, and I learned so much today from you. So I'm so thankful. I want to talk a little bit about your online courses, your one-to-ones that you do, your books. Tell me what it is that you're doing, because I want to plug into that, because you blew my mind on a couple of topics. So I want you to unpack to listeners, what do you have to offer now that they're like, oh, now I'm interested. What would you recommend they do?
Yeah. The healing, it's really what I'm doing is I'm creating this sacred, expansive mentoring space for people, right? They can bring forward physical, mental, emotional. Sometimes they don't know what's in the way. Sometimes they don't know if it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever. Part of my gift is being able to break through that, to as a soul seer, I can see what that is and unpack whatever that program, that core wound is.
Nice.
And bring that story up. And then the process is the transformation of it in whatever is perfect and right for them. So the courses, my methodology has been how I've done this through my entire last 30 years of my life for healing, was this 5-step methodology. And I talk about that on my podcast. That's another thing. People can get on the podcast and start to learn and listen. It's the place to be free.
We'll put links below, Martha. I'll put links.
And that's kind of my baby right now, to really help teach people, to really give them these.
Oh my God, you have so much to share with us. Oh, yeah.
And so that's really like a breakthrough session is a place to start. They can do a course with my courses. It's really giving them the foundation. Here's the 5 steps. They come into 3 months of bonus, like Q&A calls, live calls, where they can bring their questions in. And other than that, then they can work one-on-one. But people have to get this foundation.
Yeah.
They have to get, if they haven't already, they have to know and or learn how to get out of their heads and into their physical feeling bodies, like their energy, right? Because I'm going to teach you to go at the places that, sometimes you might hate me, but I'll do it with love. Right. Because it's the only way out. It's not nearly, wouldn't you agree? It's not nearly as painful as we think it's going to be. Like in hindsight, it didn't have to be hard.
No,
it didn't have to be hard. We just didn't know how. Nobody taught us these pieces. We didn't know how.
Yeah, I was just talking to a client before we got on, and she had said, "How long is this going to take?" And I said, "Well, right now. You can start right now. The changes will happen right now. You've already arrived at wherever it is you want to be. There's no finish line. Just live in this moment and keep going in this." And then she said, "Well, but this is going to be hard, right?" I said, "Is it going to be hard? That's up to you to decide."
Healing isn't hard. What's hard is resistance.
So in other words, when we're feeling like, oh, this is hard, it's not because the healing is hard. It's because the resistance.
You're in resistance.
Resistance to the healing.
Yeah, there's a story in there about how you can't live your greatness. Somewhere there's a story about how you can't live your greatness, and it's dying to come out of you. Like, that's what the body is. It's a vessel, right? It's a vessel of energy and information. It's a gift. And what are we doing? We're trying to annihilate it at every turn, instead of recognizing that this is what houses our soul. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. This gentleman that did the Reiki, I was talking to him last night and I said, "Tell me about your last day." He had 4 days of Reiki training. I said, "I want to hear about your last day." And he said, "I've already put my notebook away and everything. I've got to get on," because like this compartmentalizing, like I got to get onto the real world and business now. I'm going to put that over here. And I thought,
separation.
Yes. And I was like, all I said to him was, I said, you do realize that you take yourself with you wherever you go, right? Like, you do realize that just because you have this notebook over here that you started to process, like all that shit is still here coming with you when you go to be that other person. Right? Like, that's our belief in it having, number one, to be separate, number one, to be hard. Like this lack of integration of I am a soul and a spiritual being having a physical experience.
Wow.
Right? I'm taking myself, being is first cause. You can go be in that other world, but you're still being this over here that you didn't fully unpack yet, because that's driving your story and everything you do or you don't do. It's driving your thoughts, and your thoughts are driving your actions. That's why you keep getting the same thing.
Right.
Recurring pattern. Yeah. And just plopping down on our table isn't going to change it.
Oh my goodness. Just
Like,
so much.
We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Thank you so much, Martha, for
You're welcome. Thank you.
Just unpacking such juicy stuff. I'm so thankful. And I'm sure I'm going to hit you up to talk again sometime, because I just want to share you with my listeners. I'll put all sorts of links below for Martha's stuff, guys. Yeah. She is top dog. I feel so blessed to have met her and be encouraged by her, and to have plugged into some really good info that she gave us today that I've got to digest, because there's some ways that I'm going to do things a little different in my life now, being able to see the truth of things. So I'm so thankful.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Thank you so much. Listeners, it's been great to be with you. Remember, everybody has a story. And like Martha said, illness, tell me again, illness is...
It's not the problem, it's the solution.
Okay. Illness is not the problem, it's the solution. Illness can actually be something that leads you back to yourself, to remember your greatness, to hook back in and go, oh my gosh, I'm a great being, powerful, abundant. So thank you so much for hanging with us in this time. And if there's any way that I can be of service, Martha can be of service, I will put our links below.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I love what I'm doing, coming out of personal fitness training and realizing people's stories were connecting with the physical problems that they were having. And anyway, folks, thank you so much for hanging with us this long, and we'll see you again. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.